fruit fly season.
Chris Sawyer, the Varietal Show. I am back. Here we are once again at Gravenstein Grill, the wonderful restaurant where I am the sommelier and partner, and we are closed. It is still COVID-19 season right now, and that's why I wanted to bring some really fun personalities from the wine industry and wine country to you. And today we have our great guest star, which is Jeff Cohn from Jeff Cohn Cellars. Jeff and I have been friends for a long, long time, and some of you might know Jeff Cohn. He made his name very well known with Zinfandel, and especially starting out really becoming the winemaker at Rosenblum Winery, which is a great site there in Alameda where Jeff still lives, but makes his wine here in Sonoma County and has a great tasting room over in the town of Sonoma, historic town, let's put it that way. But Jeff and I have a very, very shared love for one kind of topic in the wine industry, and that is the Rhone varieties. So you might notice his little sweatshirt there, and it does say HDR, which means Hospice de Rhone. So about a week ago, Jeff and I would have been in Paso Robles. We would have been surrounded by the greatest producers of Syrah, Grenache, Mourvedre, Viognier, Roussanne, Marsanne, and many other great grape varieties of the world. And yet, we were not. So I felt like this would be a really good time to talk about some of the Rhone varieties. And in this case, we have two really nice offerings of Syrah and also a great Marsanne, which is a white version. So, Jeff, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So, you know, we talked a little bit about Zinfandel and how much you love Zinfandel and how much I love Zinfandel, but Syrah. So here you are making wine there at Rosenblum, and yet you've fallen in love with this. When was that time period?
Oh, that had to be, God, 1998. That was when I
98.
really fell in love with Syrah. It's first Syrah that really got my attention was a Cornas.
Yeah. That's old world.
That's old world. There wasn't a lot of Syrah planted in California at that time. Maybe a little Joseph Phelps. Not much else was out there. So slowly but surely, we started to see more Syrah. And you know, my goal was after that, I had to get some great Syrah.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of searching. Found a beautiful vineyard up at Rockpile.
Rockpile from here is right up there, right up above Dry Creek, actually. You go through Dry Creek, which is in the northern part of Sonoma County, right just a little bit northwest of Healdsburg, downtown Healdsburg, a few miles. And then you kind of keep driving up the hill. And so we're talking about pretty much 1,000 feet starting point there. So we're high elevation, also influenced by the ocean winds a little bit more than the more protected valley floor where the Zinfandel would grow. Syrah is really one of those interesting grapes that can grow in both hot climate and cool climate. So when you get to the Rhone Valley, it's really more about where the wind is coming in, as we would call it the Mistral wind that's coming out of the Alps and really kind of coming down into those valleys and those little crevices that some are windier than others, some are hotter or more protected than others. But I think that really one of those points too that what really got me into Syrah was actually Shiraz. So Australian things, like remember Crocodile Dundee, everyone? Crocodile Dundee and the great, bands like In Excess and Men at Work. Well, the wine Shiraz kind of came along with it. My favorite was always that brand called You Bet Shiraz. That was a good one. And they let it into the United States when you said that. It was beautiful. But that was back in the 90s and when I fell in love with it too. So I feel like we've really progressed a lot. And so I poured you a little bit. You need a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
I knew you would not say no.
Never.
We would be sitting closer, but this is COVID-19 time, so I hope you guys are away from each other too, but close enough to be having a nice time with who you're with. Really love this wine. Great color here, but it's really more about the nose that attracts you to it. It's got this great violet kind of touch to it, and also a really great lavender kind of scent to it as well.
Minerality, there's a minerality.
Yeah.
If you were up in that vineyard and you smelled that soil, it's in this wine. That's what I love about it. It has such a sense of place. 2,000-foot elevation. You know what? In 2000 and I think it was 2004. I think that was when Chapoutier came to Hospice de Rhone, and he came to the table and he tried this wine and he said, you know, it's the most Hermitage-like wine he's ever had outside of Hermitage.
Wow.
So I wish he'd written that down on a napkin or something. But
back when we used to record things on our phones and like do selfies and stuff, that wasn't invented yet. So
not yet.
We weren't there.
But I would have done it, trust me, because that was a moment for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think that this. I mean, it just sucks you right in. So now we've already tasted it.
Because it's not just about blackberries and blueberries. It's about the vineyard itself.
You know, we poured this a few minutes ago. This has gotten so much more dense in just a few minutes, and it's, you know, that's one of the great things about Syrah. And you might notice I did pour this in a Rhone, the Rhone varietal, into a Burgundy glass. I prefer that with Syrah because it gives it a little bit more air, lets it open up a little bit more. That's a personal preference. What do you think?
Well, no. I think you have to. I think you have to. It has to have more room to explode.
Yeah.
It just wants that. Especially in my winemaking style is I'm very reductive. I don't rack my wines.
Yep.
Once they go into barrels, large format barrels, that's where they stay the whole time.
Yeah.
I only taste every 2-3 months, and we rack once for bottling.
Wow.
So having this oxygen is the way to go.
Yeah.
I like to decant my wines, both my red and my white, for at least an hour before I drink it.
Yeah. And we did pour actually this white a little while ago too. So it's pretty cool. So let's go into the white. I mean, and we are tasting a white after a red. You know, it's something that is not uncommon in the old world, but it's very uncommon here. Oh, you can't cross that line. What are you doing? You know, but sometimes as our palates develop and we're starting to even get almost into the old world kind of style where we're going, you know what, I'd like to do salad and cheese after the dinner. You know, oh really? Oh, look at you. You know, it's one of those things where you really go, wow, that was a really smart idea.
It works.
It works.
It works.
It does. And here we have a very unique variety called Marsanne. Obviously, Viognier, probably some of those of you out there know it. Yay! Great way of saying it. But Marsanne and Roussanne are not as well known. I think Grenache Blanc might even be the more well known now, because Grenache Blanc is actually really great too, and Picpoul Blanc and some of these other great white varieties that came over from the old world are really interesting. But Marsanne by itself, I mean, what made you like Marsanne?
You know, I think it's the first time I ever had a Chave Hermitage. And I thought to myself, this wine is totally different than anything I've ever had. And it was a wine that initially I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I love it or I don't love it. And as it sat in the glass, it became an education for me. And when it was served with the proper foods, and being in France when I did that, it was served with the proper foods and everything worked together. And I thought to myself, I want to make a wine like that.
Yeah.
So this is 85% Marsanne and the rest is Roussanne.
Yeah.
So and this comes from Stagecoach, so it's all the way up in the mountains.
Yeah, way up there in the mountains.
You have to have minerality.
In Napa Valley.
In Napa Valley. You need that minerality.
But not the valley. It's up in the mountains.
It's up in the mountains, not the valley, but in the mountains. Atlas Peak. You need that minerality to keep this wine together, because it's not about the pH and the TA, the acid, it's about the minerality to keep that together. It's a very rich wine.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I serve it at the end, because I think this wine, as rich as this is, this is a little bit more oily and really intoxicating.
It's viscous, you know, it's really got that beautiful texture to it that fills the entire mouth. It's got good acidity. It has a lot of like kind of this lemon curd and almost this pie crust around it too, which is wonderful, because, you know, really you're starting to think about, you know, what do you do with dessert? I mean, pie crust, you can get it inside of liquid form. I mean, this is fantastic, you know, and I really like the kind of more of it's got a little tropical note to it. It's got a papaya and mango kind of combination inside of it too. This is such a unique grape. We don't see enough of it here in the United States. I think we're getting a little bit more adventurous because of things like the success of Grenache Blanc and and pig pool kind of coming on, that other people are going, maybe we could go back and try some of these other varietals.
As long as they're planted in the right place.
Exactly.
Which is, to me, has been the problem. I've had Marsanne from certain areas of Sonoma where I've gone, you know, it's a nice wine, but it's not going to be something that will age. This is a 2016. I think this has got 10 to 20 more years left of it. You know,
Yeah.
I just had a 08 the other night, and it's fantastic.
No, it's
So
great.
Marsanne ages at a glacial pace.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I think that these are great wines. Obviously, in our segment before, we also saw these two great ones, which is the Rinaldi Zinfandel from up in Amador County, and then we also have the Sweetwater Springs. This is a vineyard right here in Russian River Valley, along with the Marsanne from Stagecoach in Napa, and also the Rockpile Syrah. This is a really great lineup here. And like I said, you guys can come when it's available to come up and visit his tasting room. And I go over there often. It's usually him calling me, Chris, you gotta taste this new release. I mean, it's so good, oh my God. But, you know, obviously we can't do that right now. So I thought I'd bring him to you and to kind of introduce these wines